My dad's name was Arthur Lyons. Um, he was from Wolverhampton, which is a town down in the Midlands. And he came up to Oldham during the war to run a factory that made carburetors for aircrafts. And
how come he wasn't in the war?
How come he wasn't in the war? Because there were certain trades that they wouldn't accept into the forces. Like a coal miner, they wouldn't accept. A guy who's working on ammunitions, they won't accept. And he was working on carburetors for tanks and aircraft and things like that. So they wouldn't accept him in the war.
So Oldham had factories that helped make planes and tanks for the war? Oldham had factories that helped make planes and tanks?
It was a factory he worked at called Woodstock. And he was a foreman. And they wouldn't take him out of the factory because they needed guys to work on this stuff.
Absolutely.
So he wasn't allowed to go to war. Yeah, my dad came up from Wolverhampton to become foreman at Woodstock factory, and he actually the closest he came to war. He was taking a break inside the factory, and he went to the bathroom, and he had his pants down, and he was sitting on the toilet, and a bomb came through the roof and landed within about 5 feet of him. But it was a dud. It didn't blow up. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been my father.
Yeah.
I don't know who would have been, but anyway, that was the closest he came to being at war.
Coming from Wolverhampton like he did he sound funny to people from Oldham because he had different accents?
Yes, the accent he had was more like what they called a Brummie accent, because Birmingham, where the Brummie comes from, is the big city down near Wolverhampton. And all around there, they all had a different type of accent to what we had up in the north. And but they have more of a sing-song kind of an accent. And my dad had that when he came up to Oldham to work, but he gradually lost it, and his best friend up there was John Jackson, and they would go out together for play cards, have a drink on a Sunday lunchtime, and my mom used to go down and meet them if it was, like a Friday night or a Saturday. But on Sunday, she always stayed home and made dinner. And so that when we came home from playing cards on Sunday afternoon, dinner would be ready to put on the table. And it was a good life. They had a good marriage. Same as everybody else, they had their arguments, but nothing major. She had her friends, and Phyllis was one of them, and they went off together. I remember one time excuse me, we went into I went down to my dad's late in the afternoon, and he said, I'm going up to Wine Lodge to get some hard stuff because it was coming up to Christmas. And so he wanted some drinks in the house for Christmas. So I said, okay, I'll come with you. Well, we got up there. When we got up there, we met John Jackson. So that was the start of a party. And we were drinking, and all of a sudden, in the wine lodge where we'd gone to get the harder stuff, is a U-shaped bar, and there's a door at each end of the U-shaped bar. So we were on the left-hand side of the bar, and all of a sudden I went over to get some more drinks, and the guy said, your tap's stopped, which means you can't buy any more drinks. So I went running all the way around the bar, got to the other side. The same guy walked across, because he only had like 10 yards to walk. I ran about 50. He walked across and he said, your tap's still stopped.
How old are you?
I was, that time I was 20.
Okay, so you'd had my dad. You were married by then.
I was married at 17.
Yeah, so so this was not little Des going and getting another drink.
No.
This is, okay.
So I had to go back and tell them, hey, our tap has been stopped. So they said, well, let's go across to the Albion pub. Well, we go across to the Albion pub, but Oldham is a kind of it's like a village, but it's a little bit bigger. But people had already gone across to the Albion and told them that we, the Lyonses, had the tap stopped. So when we walked in and said, you know, like 5 pints of bitter, they said, you can have half a bitter and then you're out. So that's all we got, is a half a bitter, and we came out. And then we all split up.
What was their reason? You guys had just been drinking too much?
Yeah.
Getting too rowdy?
We'd been drinking too much.
Okay.
And somebody from the wine lodge had gone across and told the Albion that we'd already had a tap stopped over at the wine lodge. So they didn't want to cause any problems, so they said, you can have one drink and then you're done. So we came out and we all split up then. Everybody were going home. And this was only about, I would say it was about 7:30, 8 o'clock at night.
Oh, okay.
On a Saturday night.
The night is young.
But we came out in the afternoon. See, wine lodge is open from 10 o'clock in the morning all the way through till about 11 o'clock at night. So we're standing outside the door, and my dad's got his feet about a yard away from the wall, and his shoulders are on the wall, but he can't get up. He keeps trying to get up, and he keeps saying, my dad was a fighter too. Let's go in there, we'll kill them if they don't give us another drink. And I said to him, you stay there, Dad. I'm going to go in and see if Mom's in there, because that's where she used to meet her friend Phyllis.
Okay.
And then they'd kind of all meet up later on in the night.
Yeah.
So I go in And I found my mom. I said, Mom, you better come outside. Dad's drunk.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. So she comes outside and Phyllis comes with her. And they see my dad, and my dad's still leaning on the wall,
Yeah.
trying to get up.
Mm-hmm.
And they get hold of him, one on each side, and they say, come on, we're going to take you home. So they're walking him home, both of them, one on each side of him.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm following behind. And I'm drunk.
Yeah.
I've got whiskey in my pocket. So I'm fine. I opened the bottle of whiskey, and as we're all walking home, I'm taking a slug of whiskey. We get to my mom's house, and I finally finish up. They get him up to bed.
Sure.
Oh, on the way home,
Mm-hmm.
my mom keeps dropping my dad's arm,
Mm-hmm.
turning around and coming back to me and saying, it's your fault, you've ruined my night out. I couldn't care less.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still drinking my whiskey and walking behind them.
Mm-hmm.
So when we get to her house, I'm laying on the floor. I can't get up.
Mm-hmm.
And she's pouring water over my head.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad's gone to bed.
Mm-hmm.
They then went up to my house
Mm-hmm.
and told my wife. She came down and looked at me.
Mm-hmm.
She said, I'm coming out with you and leave him here. We'll pick him up on the way home after we've had his night out.
Yeah.
And that's how it was. I was there, couldn't move. I was paralytic.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the worst I've ever been. But it was a good night out, and that was my dad and John Jackson, and a good do.